one of you guys offended me talking about there was this joke on the NBA on TNT when LeBron James, he kept wearing his headband to cover up his receding hairline. And Kenny Smith, Shaquille O'Neal, and Charles Barkley told LeBron, they said, come home. Come home. Come home. Basically, what come home meant was go ahead and just shave it all off. Your hairline is receding so bad, you might as well just go ahead and go bald, man. So their phrase for that was come on. Well, somebody wrote that in my comment section, either my last or next to last video. They said, Alan, it's time for you to come home, man. Time for you to come home. Now, I feel like I got a lot of hair left, man. My hair is thin up top, no doubt. It's thin up top, no doubt. But thanks to the miracle of wave caps, I wear a wave cap every night. You know, I'm keeping my hair for a few more years until it really just gets bad. But yeah, somebody gonna say, Alan, come home. Come home. Go ahead and just shave it all off. Come home. Come home. Now, speaking of my physical appearance, I know at least a few of y'all who are very perceptive, very observant. Y'all like, ARC look like he getting a little chunky again. ARC look like he getting a little chunky again. And if that has been your observation, you're right. Man, I got to get focused again. I've been unfocused, man. I exercise pretty regularly, but on the nutrition end, I've been slacking off. I've been eating a lot of ice cream and stuff. And yeah, man, do you know since late December of last year, which was one of my lowest weights in a long time. If you remember, in late December, I got down to 207. 207, which was my slimmest weight since like 2006. I'm not even joking. Yeah. When I got down to 207, man, that was my slimmest weight. That was my first time being less than 210 since 2006. Because starting with 2007, my weight had always been 210 or heavier. 210 or heavier. Always. Yeah, starting with 2007, the lowest my weight had ever been was 210. Starting with 2007. So yeah, that was the first time I got under 210 since 2006. But now, unfortunately, I've gained about 25 to 30 of those pounds back. Yeah, I think the last I weighed myself, I was like 234, 235, somewhere in there. Yep. So I got to get back down, man. So keep me motivated. Write me a note. Instead of talking about shave my hair, I'll say, Alan, man, get focused, man. Get refocused, man. Get that weight back down. Get refocused. This will probably be my next to last free video for a few weeks. Oh, I know some of y'all going to be disappointed. People who are not my Patreon subscribers. Yep. And I had already said this. If you remember, I said this like 2 or 3 months ago. Because if you remember, I didn't do hardly any videos in the entire month of April until about the last 2 or 3 days. Yeah, I went pretty much the entire month of April without doing any free videos. And at that time, I think in late March, I said there's going to be 3 periods. I said there's going to be at least 3 periods where I'm not going to be doing any free videos. And that was going to be in April, which I already did. I didn't really do any videos. I said second was going to be either August or September, if not both. August or September, if not both. And then the third, I said, was going to be between roughly mid-December and mid-January. Mid-December and mid-January. Yeah, so I'm probably going to do another video this week, either Wednesday. Oh, shit. Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to do one more video this week, either Wednesday or Thursday. And then after that video, for about the next 5, 6, 7 weeks, I'm only going to do Patreon exclusive videos. Yep. Yeah, starting with next week all the way up until about, I'd say roughly mid-September, I'm only going to be doing Patreon exclusive videos. I'm not going to be doing any free videos. Yep, I'm only going to do Patreon exclusive videos. So yeah, this is going to be my next to last free video for at least 5 weeks and as long as 7 weeks. What else? I saw a movie. I actually saw it twice already. Quentin Tarantino's new movie called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It got some slow parts in it, but overall I liked it. Now, he did an interesting thing, and I think he's done this before. He mixes a lot of real life historical activities with fictional, embellished activities. Yeah, he tends to mix things that really happen in life with just complete Hollywood fiction. And that's what he did in this movie. Because if you remember the psycho killer, crazy motherfucker Charles Manson, who was known for helter-skelter murders. He changed some historical facts because there was a woman actress got killed named Sharon Tate, and in the movie, well, I don't want to give away spoilers. Here's what's interesting though, man. Here's why Charles Manson, even though he's a psychotic killer, is worth bringing up in my video. That motherfucker had a lot of seductive influence over women in the 1960s. And yeah, he had a lot of influence over women. That motherfucker was crazy. He was psychotic, man. He was crazy. Why do you think he had so much influence over women? Given the fact that he was crazy. He was a rebel to society's social programming and cultural conditioning, something I always talk about. Social programming and cultural conditioning. He rebelled against most aspects of social programming and cultural conditioning. That's number one. Number two, he was in the right place at the right time, 1960s, which I talk about in my book, The Beta Male Revolution. That's when women's sexual morals, values, and ethics began to change drastically, and they became more comfortable with having sex outside the context of marriage and even outside the context of monogamy. And Charles Manson took advantage of that. A lot of women were running away from home, from their overly demanding, overly protective fathers and mothers. And he was there with open arms, welcoming those runaways. He was non-judgmental about women's sexuality. Something I talk about in Who Said Again. He was discreet. Something I talk about in Who Said Again. He didn't believe in owning pussy. He believed in sharing pussy. But a lot of hippies back then believed in that. That was called the free love movement. Free love movement and sexual revolution. Where nobody didn't believe in owning someone else's body. They believed in freely sharing their dick, sharing their pussy with everybody who wants it. Charles Manson took advantage of that. And that motherfucker had dozens of women under his spell. Dozens. See, on paper, you look at it, you say, damn, that motherfucker was crazy. How come us good men can't have influence like that? When this crazy psycho killer got all this influence over these women. He rebelled against social programming and cultural conditioning. He was non-judgmental, discreet. He was not a jealous, possessive, territorial type dude. And he was in the right place at the right time to take advantage of women whose sexual morals, values, and ethics were changing. Big time. So, it's a movie, I think, for most of y'all. Now, a lot of you young guys, y'all ain't going to get the movie because it's a lot of references in there that young people just not going to get. If you're a man that's like roughly 45 years of age or older, and you had a love for old movies, old TV shows, Hollywood, nostalgia, then that movie's going to resonate with you. And I wrote that on my Facebook page. But, yeah, if you're a young person, there's just going to be a lot of stuff you're just not going to get about that movie. Speaking of old school, I did one of my 2 Patreon exclusive live streams this past Thursday. And I forget how we got on the subject, but I was asking a lot of I think it started with one of my guys who participated in my live stream said that he didn't learn anything about sex or dating from his mother or father. And I asked the rest of the guys in my chat room for my Patreon exclusive live stream, I said, how many of you, if any of you other guys in here didn't learn very little, if anything, about sex or dating in general from your mother and father, press number 2. And a whole bunch of number 2s came up. Shit, it seemed like damn near the whole chat room pressed number 2. And that kind of almost simultaneously mildly surprised me, but didn't surprise me at all. Because I used to talk about this a few times on my blog talk. When I did my blog talk radio show, I interviewed some women who were sexologists and sex therapists. And one of the things I remember at least 2 or 3 of them mentioning is that they found that a lot of mothers and fathers rarely, if ever, have lengthy discussions with their children and teenagers about fucking. Here's where I understand it and here's where I'm surprised by it. If people are older like me, I understand it. Because I was just talking about that period that I emphasized in my book, The Beta Male Revolution, that period between roughly 1960 and 1974. See, if your parents come from the 1950s and before, that's not surprising at all. Because people in that generation, man, they didn't talk about fucking with their kids. They didn't. They might have had 1 or 2 birds and bees talk. But other than that, man, it was just commonplace that parents didn't talk about. Like my parents, they didn't really talk about fucking with me. I didn't start talking to my parents about sex until I was a grown adult. Like me and my mother had detailed discussions, when I became a grown adult, and to a lesser extent, me and my father. But when I was like a child or teenager, my parents never really talked about fucking. The only advice my father gave me when I was a teenager was wear a condom. That was it. Wear a condom. And that's why a lot of young guys gravitate towards me. Because, one flattering compliment I get is that, Alan, you're either the father I never had or the big brother I never had. And I appreciate both of those compliments. But yeah, man, people in that generation just didn't talk about fucking to do with their kids. Now, I'm a little more surprised about the younger guys who right now are anywhere between, 18 and 29. Guys who right now are between roughly 18 and 29, I'm at least a little bit surprised that at least one of their parents didn't talk to them about fucking. I had some guys in my chat room say some disparaging things about their fathers. Yeah, called them Mode 3 wimps, Mode 2 nice guys. Yeah, they said none of their fathers, the ones who had fathers in the home, were Mode 1. And they felt like their mothers basically controlled the household. I've heard that a lot from my male clients, that they had very domineering moms who overshadowed the influence of their fathers or stepfathers, which is sad. I can tell you this, as you know, I don't have any children, but that might change soon. Hint, hint, wink, wink. If I have children, whether it's one son, one daughter, or one of each, I'm going to be talking to them about fucking. Plain and simple. I'm going to be talking to my kids about fucking. They're going to know about fucking by no later than the age of 9, 10, 11, 12. They're going to know everything about fucking. Everything about game plan related to fucking. Best believe. Ain't no kid of mine going to be learning about fucking from TV shows, from movies, from porn, or from their peers. That's not going to happen in Alan Roger Currie's household. My kids are going to learn from fucking from me. Their father that's who they're going to learn about fucking from. Trust and believe. I think there should be classes in high school about fucking. And I'm not saying that lightheartedly, I do. If not about fucking, specifically about dating in general. I don't remember any classes in high school that centered around dating. For the most part, college. Now, in college, I took a class called Human Sexuality, and I actually learned quite a few things in that class that were interesting. If I had to highlight 2 or 3 things I learned in that class, was that women, there's always been this belief that, you hear people say men think about sex once every 10 seconds or whatever. Women actually entertain more sexual fantasies than men do. I learned that in Human Sexuality, and I've heard it since then. Yeah, women actually entertain on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. Women entertain more sexual fantasies in their head than the average man does. Now, men, yeah, we think about sex a lot to the extent that our testosterone provokes us to. It's more hormonal. Our testosterone just provokes us to want to, because we have millions, hundreds of millions actually, of little spermatozoids swimming in our testicles every day. And so it's no surprise that men get horny, because we got a bunch of little swimmers in our balls. That's half of what makes us horny. It ain't just a mental thing. We got a bunch of spermatozoids swimming. Just picture a bunch of little fish in your balls just swimming around, man, and massaging your testicles, man. That's going to make you want to release those motherfuckers. We just have a natural desire to want to release those spermatozoids from our balls. So we got a defense for why we think about fucking. We got a bunch of swimmers. Women don't have a bunch of swimmers in their vagina. We got a bunch of little swimmers. These little miniature, almost microscopic swimmers. Hundreds of millions. Not just dozens, not hundreds. Hundreds of millions in our balls. But women entertain a lot of sexual fantasies. What's another thing I learned in human sexuality class in college? That there's no objective definition. I was just talking about this yesterday with somebody. There's no objective definition of what's kinky. My kinky could be your normal. And your kinky could be my normal. Like, I get a couple of examples. Some people might say, well, people have sex in public, that's kinky. Says who? If you have sex in public on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, then that, for you, that's normal. That ain't kinky, that's normal. But if I've never had sex in public, then of course I'm going to perceive it as kinky. If you have group sex with more than one partner on a weekly basis, monthly basis, then that's normal for you. But if I've never had group sex, which I have, I would perceive that as kinky. So there's no objective definition of what's kinky and what's normal. That's all subjective. That's all subjective. Taking a step further, my human sexuality professor told us that a lot of people misuse the term perverted. You know how women, if you tell them you did something real kinky, they say, oh, not only are you kinky, but you're perverted. Or even some men will call certain sexual acts perverted. But what our human sexuality professor told us is that the only thing that's truly perverted is if you want to have sex in a manner that's unnatural and has no potential to lead to babies. For example, if you regularly want to fuck a horse, you're perverted, because that's just unnatural for you to want to fuck another species. If you like jack off looking at raccoons, that's perverted, because a raccoon shouldn't be getting your dick hard. Looking at a raccoon's ass and tail shouldn't be getting your dick hard. So that's some perverted shit. If you get hard looking at a 4-year-old little girl, even though that's a human being within your species, that's unnatural. Because a 4-year-old little girl can't produce babies for you. Can't produce babies for you. So that's unnatural because it can't lead to babies. Now, on the flip side, if you're, say, a 25-year-old guy and your dick gets hard looking at a 14-year-old girl, some people would argue that that's perverted because she's underage. That's actually not perverted. That's just illegal for you to have sex with her, but it ain't perverted. That's what our professor broke down. That's illegal because if you have sex with that 14-year-old girl, that would be representative of statutory rape, but that's not perverted because a 14-year-old girl can't have your child. A 14-year-old girl can't have your child. So it's not, our professor, he said, you know, a lot of people have heated debates about that, but he said that is not truly perversion, 14, 15-year-old girl, because those girls can have a baby for you. It's just that our laws prevent you from having sex with women underage, primarily because they don't feel like they're intellectually and emotionally mature enough to handle the responsibility of raising a baby. That's why you have statutory rape laws. It's not because they don't feel, the government doesn't feel like they're physically mature enough to have a baby. Once a woman gets her period, she's physically mature enough to give birth to a child. Period. Once a girl starts having a regular menstrual cycle, and side note on that, do you know I've had many conversations with women that they told me their own mothers or fathers never explained to them about their menstrual cycle. That's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. Every mother should be explaining to her daughter about her menstrual cycle. What kind of fucked up motherhood is that? And if the daughter's raised by a father, then the father should be telling her. I hate all this treating conversations about sex like they're taboo and forbidden. Again, Alan Roger Currie had kids, they're going to know everything to do with their bodies, their sexuality, and everything related to it. I ain't going to have them learning from the streets, their peers, TV shows, cable TV shows, movies, and porn. Fuck that. I'm going to be their professor. I'm going to be their personal sex professor. I don't want my daughter pregnant at the age of 11, 12, 13. So yeah, man, but yeah, the government doesn't feel like most women or boys for that matter, not just girls, boys too. They don't feel like they're intellectually or emotionally mature enough, as well as they're not in a financial position to raise a child. When you're still in middle school or high school, you don't have a pot to pee in and a window to throw it out of. You broke. You're living off your parents. How the fuck you gonna raise a baby? Yeah. You shouldn't be having babies until you're emotionally mature enough to raise one and financially stable enough to raise one. Otherwise, you need to have a condom on at all times, or the girl needs to be on birth control pills. Final thing I want to talk about is, I've been being hard on a lot of these black pill type guys who I consider from the black pill brigade, BPB, Black Pill Brigade, that love to troll my channel, troll my comment sections until I delete their comments. Here's the thing you Black Pill Brigade guys don't realize. I have my most notorious philosophy of no free attention, which 100 million people have tried to duplicate, copy, plagiarize. No free attention. Here's the thing, man. When you constantly whining and complaining about women, you still giving them free attention. You're still giving them free attention. There's a saying in the world of advertising and public relations that bad publicity is still publicity. Bad publicity is better than no publicity. Negative attention is better than no attention. Most women feel that way. Negative attention is better than no attention. You guys think you're really agitating women by giving them negative attention, but you're still giving them attention. You still giving them attention. Here's the reality, man. The only man that consistently whine and complain about women's behavior is men who don't have any options. I've never in my life, never, ever, 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 ever met a man, a heterosexual man in real life that had 2 or more options for desirable female sexual companionship that was always complaining about women. At least on a personal and social level. Now, maybe on some other aspect of his life. Like, for example, I've always said, like me, when I was younger, I never used to complain about women on a personal and social level, but I used to complain about them like a motherfucker on a professional level because I hated working for women. I hated working for women, and to a lesser extent, I hated working with a high percentage of female coworkers. Until that infamous time when my father laid me out in 1995 and told me, son, quit acting like a damn bitch. He didn't use those exact words, but essentially that's what he said. Quit whining like a little bitch. Get motivated to become self-employed so that you don't have to work for women or with women unless you want to. And now I'm self-employed. I don't bitch about women in the workplace. No options leads to bitching. No options leads to bitching. Yep. When you're a man with no options, you're always going to do a lot of whining and bitching. When you don't have any desirable options for female sexual companionship, and you're romantically frustrated, sexually frustrated, you're going to do a lot of bitching. End of story. Same with women. Most of women who get on social media and YouTube and bitch about men's behavior on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis, they sexually frustrated. They romantically and sexually frustrated. They either ain't getting no good dick at all, or they might be getting some good dick, but the men who giving them good dick ain't sharing no time with them non-sexually. They ain't spending no money on them. They ain't sharing no time with them non-sexually, and they just using their mouth and using their pussy and their asshole for their own self-serving self-gratification. And women are frustrated by that. So they get on YouTube and bitch. Bitch, 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 bitch. Sexually content people, sexually satisfied people, romantically content people, romantically satisfied people don't bitch about the opposite sex. At least not as it relates to dating relationships. Again, they might be bitching about, they got poor customer service at a restaurant or grocery store or something like that. Or their next door neighbor might be a bitch who plays her music too loud or something like that. Some non-romantic, non-sexual context. But the bottom line is, when you give women negative attention, you're still giving them free attention. When you give women negative attention, you're still giving them free attention. And in my Patreon exclusive portion today, I'm going to talk about that very thing. How you men who give a lot of women free attention, guess who you helping out? Not only are you helping out women, you satisfying their egos, but you helping out womanizing alpha males who have absolutely no desire to give these women free attention. I'll cover that in my Patreon exclusive portion.